It could be worse. It did feel like it at first, especially when the engine started smoking and alarms were going off. And oh yeah, my furler wouldn't unfurl. Well, tribe, if I was looking for adventure, I found it today. Oh, well, the morning started off pretty eventful. I had an issue with the starter again. Thought I fixed it. I thought we figured out what was wrong with it. So I pulled anchor and I headed out the channel and started making my way to Balandra, which is about 6 nautical miles that way. As soon as I got to the turn to pull into Balandra, an alarm started going off and smoke started coming out of my engine room again. The starter kicked on again out of the blue, and to add to the fun, an alarm started going off, a loud, obnoxious alarm, which makes it difficult to think, which makes me wonder why it needs to be so annoying. Needless to say, I turned out into the bay as quickly as possible and got 5 or 6 miles offshore, killed the engine, and tried to run up the head sail. For some reason, the furler wasn't releasing. And even with the winch, I couldn't get it to loosen. Panicked a little bit. Had to run up here and sort of shake it to get it to kind of move. And even then, it was still really difficult. I had to use the winch to just unfurl it, which you shouldn't have to do. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. Of course, I'm not near the marina anymore. I'm a good eight nautical miles from there. I did get the head sail up and tried to just sail out into the bay so that it wasn't getting in anyone's way. It wasn't in the ferry boat's way while I tried to figure out what was going on. I called everybody. I called Joe, the former owner. I called my friend Ray. I even tried to call my mom, just because sometimes you need your mom. But after a lot of panicking and phone calls, we came to the conclusion that maybe the engine was a little bit hot for some reason, probably because the starter was doing its thing. And we let it cool for a bit. So I sort of sailed back this direction, which is why I'm here and not in Balandra. I sailed a little ways out. Let the engine cool. It fired right up. No problem. Starter came on, shut off. It was fine. But that alarm started going off and it wouldn't shut off. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. And so Joe suggested maybe start the engine, and then just turn the key from on to off and see if it would continue running. Which I did. The alarm went off and the engine kept running. Good enough for me. I furled in the head sail and came straight into here and anchored. It's a beautiful spot. But I don't know what I can do as far as work on this boat. I'm not an electrician. I have no idea what to do. But I can't go back to the marina necessarily. I'm out of money for the anchorage, so I have to stay in places like this. That there, guys, is a massive whale slick. There are 2 whales that just pulled in here. Maybe I can catch them for you. Stop! Well, guys, I only managed to get that one shot of the mother and her calf before I had to deal with my dog Mouse. She tends to get a little bit crazy when she sees wildlife out there. Well, tribe, the adventure continues. I had to have picked the worst spot to anchor. When I picked this spot, I thought I was going to be protected, and I would have been protected from just about every angle except from the west and the southwest. And that's where the wind's coming from. Southwest, and it's ripping. I've got 11 knots up to 14 knots of wind, 5 knots of current. I pulled into this Bahia Falsa, you know, hoping to have protection from this, but my inexperience didn't put me far enough back. I'm tired, guys, sorry. It didn't put me far enough back. The ground tackle is holding, but it is rolly. I mean, uncomfortable rolly. I am just all over the place. And, you know, I'm constantly checking to make sure we're not dragging. So I'm probably going to be up through most of this all night, really, until the winds die down, or at least until they shift from a different angle. And I checked, it's probably not going to happen until about 9 in the morning when it starts coming in from the north. So I get to have a rolly anchor, and it's hard to show on here, but we are moving around. And yeah, it doesn't make for a good sleeping environment. Oh, jeez. Good morning, tribe. Holy macaroni, what a night. I didn't get much sleep because where I anchored, it is protected all the way around except for the west and southwest end, and that's right where I anchored. So I had a nice rolly night. I didn't sleep too well. Mouse is catching up on sleep, which was fine. My brain wasn't going to let me go to sleep anyways because of all the trouble I was going through yesterday. So, the smoking starter fixed because my cockpit drains right on top of the engine. There used to be some hoses there. I'm assuming they got deteriorated because this boat's in Baja. It doesn't get a lot of rain, nor does it get a lot of heavy sea states when you're just sort of coastal cruising. So I suspect not a lot of water's been through there. But if you pour your cup of coffee down the drain in the cockpit by accident, that could cause a short, and that could also cause the starter to kick on just randomly, which is what happened. I know this because as I inspected the starter, there was still coffee on it. So I cleaned it up, and she works great. Now, the alarm. It wasn't one alarm, it was 2 alarms. One of the alarms was the inverter. Apparently, if the cord isn't all the way plugged into the inverter, whatever you're powering, that alarm goes off. So I plugged the cord back in. The second alarm was the water alarm, the water coolant alarm, which was a little bit unnerving. Water was coming out of the back, and still does come out of the back of the boat when I fire up the engine, but the alarm was just screaming at me, saying that something was wrong. It wasn't overheating, so I went looking, and there's an impeller that fits on the cooling system that circulates coolant, not just the salt water, but the actual coolant. There's a coolant part. So I pulled the panel for that and found that the impeller, the little rubber impeller, was completely trashed. Here it is. This baby is not going to move much water. So I replaced it with the spare I had. Thank God I had the spare. I only bloodied my knuckles 3 times getting that one done. I went and fired up the engine, and the alarm was still going off, which was a little bit annoying to say the least. But what I did was grab the manual right here, and I traced the wiring diagram and followed it down to a disconnected wire. That's right, the alarm was going off because it had disconnected from the sensor. Feel dumb, but I'm happy for the easy fix. So the only thing left to do today is my shaft seal, my rear shaft seal. It's leaking, which is scary because that leak there's no stopping it. This boat would just sink. I think if I wanted to try and stop it, I would have to go outside of the boat and then try and stuff stuff around it to sort of slow it down. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We just want to tighten up the bolts on there so that that seal is nice and tight. I don't have channel locks. The tools I do have they're not big enough. So I called my helper again, Andreas, and I begged him. I begged him to drive down here, which isn't that far from town. I'm just outside of the Malecon, maybe 15 minutes from the marina by car. 45 by boat. But yeah, he helps me out a lot, and especially when I do dumb things like not buy and keep the tools that I'm going to need on a regular basis. And checking that rear seal and tighten it on a regular basis is something you're supposed to be doing. I was told this. My friend Ray told me this. He said, hey, don't forget to buy some channel locks, because these channel locks are mine and I brought them down to help you. So go buy your own. I never did. And now I'm paying for it. So luckily the leak isn't that bad. And I know the sump pump works, so I could pump out more water than comes in right now. We're golden. I got a couple hours to wait here. I am thinking I might move the boat a little further in to the inlet here to get a little more protection, because I plan on staying one more night. That seal is basically just like a waxed leather rope that's in there that goes around the shaft, and then there's a little plate that goes over that, and then 2 locking nuts. So you can see where going back and forth between forward and reverse could easily loosen those up. Not very quickly, there's 2 nuts on there, but it does happen. So I'm gonna wait the couple of hours. It's still early, guys. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, and we're nearly done. Then what I'll do is I'll move the boat further in to the inlet past those other boats that are here. I should have realized that they were all anchoring up there, even though this is a perfectly viable anchorage. When people group together like that, you should be asking yourself why. It's like going to the taco stand that has a line around the block. You don't want to eat at the taco stand with nobody there. You want to stand in line and wait, because those tacos are amazing. And that's probably what the holding is like over there, and the protection. I'm out here at the wrong taco stand. Yeesh. All right, I'm exhausted. I got maybe 10 minutes of sleep, and I'm tired, I'm dirty. So I'm gonna fix something to eat, maybe take a nap, and then we'll get back at it, tribe. What an adventure. All right, guys, so a few days earlier, I had cured and hung this piece of meat, and it is good to go. As you can see here, it looks beautiful. We're gonna go ahead and give it a try and see how well I did on this ancient art of curing and drying meat products. Really good stuff, not bad. All right, tribe, that concludes another day on salt out here in the Sea of Cortez. Yes, the adventure continues. It looks like I'm going to be here a couple days longer than I was expecting, but that is fine. I've got some new projects that come up. We'll talk about that in the next video.
Fueled by ADHD and caffeine since 1976.